Well, I was feeling bad about that Jarvis Landry video saying, were we turning our back on Jarvis? Having a screenshot there, Jarvis Landry out, but it ended up coming true. Jarvis Landry is out with the Browns, and Browns free agency is definitely heating up. So we are back to talk the latest news, and we'll get to that quarterback situation in a bit. But there's been a lot of moves, really changing a lot of aspects of the team. So what better man to go to the details on but Eric Sonier? Eric, what has caught your eye so far with free agency, both on the positive side and the negative side?
Well, positively, I am glad that they made the trade for Amari Cooper for a multitude of reasons. First of all, he's got basically 3 1-year contracts of $20 million per year. Selfishly, to see the team grow and have more cap space, I would like to see them kind of move some of that salary from guaranteed money to bonus to lower the base number. Don't know if that's going to happen. However, if that's the worst case scenario, nothing happens, he's going to have a cheaper contract than Christian Kirk will have in years 2 through 4 and is newly signed or newly agreed upon, technically can't sign till tomorrow, agreed upon contract with the Jaguars at $21.5 million. So, first signing him, I really liked it, only giving up a 5th-round pick, and then seeing the numbers as they come out, you thought, okay, this is higher than what we were paying Jarvis Landry. Then you see what some of these guys get on the free agency market that haven't done as much as Amari Cooper, and I don't expect to do as much as Amari Cooper in the future. So I think the Browns got really I guess you could say a discount at that position. So that was one thing that was positive. A couple of negatives. I guess I should have more positives, but we'll go with the negatives. Is to see outside of Jarvis Landry, JC Tretter both walk out the door. Combined 9 years between the two, 1 4 years, 1 5 years with the team. They were both leaders. Jarvis was the verbal leader you saw from Hard Knocks. We had referenced that. JC Tretter, the NFLPA president. They both had, just guys. They just got respect from their teammates. The offensive line has been incredible the last 2-3 years, and it's unfortunate, but that's kind of what free agency is now. Is not what you've done for me in the past, but what can you do for me in the future? And I think that's how the Browns see them, is that they don't see their value equating to their dollar value in the future. So that's unfortunate, but I really like the Cooper move. I know they signed a defensive tackle from the Jaguars, and there was a former first round pick that's kind of Andrew Berry's MO, and it's a low risk, high reward selection. And I know there's a lot of flexibility there now with the 2 releases of Jarvis and Tretter. We'll see what happens to the quarterback position. So I don't know how to feel right now. The Browns are in a unique situation where we have these veterans that we've had for a while, and we see them go and have had production recently. So that's really hard to see. That's very uncommon for the Browns. We usually get guys who we are getting those guys after those 8 years or 9 years in the league. We're not used to get rid of them in the 8 or 9 years. So that's a difficult situation, but I'm buying into Andrew Berry. He's made a lot of good moves. We'll see what happens again with this quarterback situation, but it was a good day last Saturday, and I'm hoping tomorrow, starting at 4 and beyond, we'll have a good continued rest of free agency period leading up to the draft.
Yeah, my immediate reaction to the Amari Cooper trade was Cowboys. I didn't think they thought too much of Cooper with how much it cost to take on Cooper. I have since learned that Cooper has a pretty big contract that the Browns are taking on here. And I also realized that Jarvis Landry cut, OBJ cut. We didn't get anything in return for both of those wide receivers. So might be a league-wide valuing of the wide receiver position. But Drew, we're seeing lots of cuts, a couple of additions. Njoku is staying with the Browns. But your thoughts so far on free agency for the Browns?
Yeah, it's I'm a big believer in the value of one free agent big addition. And I don't really count necessarily the Amari Cooper trade. I view that as a trade, right? And it almost makes sense in your head if you view that as Jarvis Landry and a 5th round pick. That's essentially what the team had to give up. I understand the Cowboys didn't get Jarvis Landry, but if you think of the trade, if you think of the sort of the acquisition in that sort of a light, it becomes more of a trade in your mind, right? They traded the Jarvis Landry salary and the 5th round pick so that they could get Amari Cooper. So I haven't seen any one sort of big ticket addition in free agency, when I look at it under that sort of a light. So the Browns right now, they are about $21 million under the cap. That is after the release of J.C. Tretter, Jarvis Landry. That's after the Amari Cooper trade. That's after the Chase Winovich revenge tour, Mac Wilson social media blitz trade. So the only thing that does not count is the signing of Taven Bryan. That's the defensive tackle that Eric had alluded to earlier. So you could probably subtract 3 or 4 million off that number. It's unclear what exactly that situation is going to be. Once they have all the details, that number will come down a little bit. In terms of areas that they can go to acquire this one additional piece, 21 million, Baker's making almost 19 million. That adds up pretty closely to 40 million. Deshaun Watson currently has a salary cap hit of $40 million. If you're counting up at home, I'm not the accountant, that would be Eric, but those numbers are very similar. So there's some hint that those numbers make sense. Obviously, we're going to get to that in a little bit. The Browns did meet with Deshaun Watson earlier today. We expect some sort of decision on that before the beginning of the league year, which is tomorrow. That's Wednesday, March 16th at 4 p.m. So expect to have, a final decision made on Deshaun Watson by then. That's sort of the deadline that Houston has given. If they don't land him, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN has indicated that the Browns are very much in search of an additional additional defensive end to play opposite Myles Garrett. They would love to have Jadeveon Clowney back. There are 2 other really big names, Von Miller and Chandler Jones. I've heard they're interested in Von Miller. He has some familiarity with the defensive scheme, and there's some shared history there, and the Browns feel really comfortable, from what I'm hearing, with maybe the addition of Von Miller opposite Myles Garrett for a year or 2. That would obviously be a fairly large salary, but that's where they may be leaning as their one big sort of move. So if it's not Deshaun Watson, which we'll get into in a little bit, I haven't said if I like that or not yet. Just if it's not him, I expect one of those 3 big defensive ends. I think that would be where I would go if I were running the team.
So it's Cartilage Jones is a free agent?
Nice.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, he is.
Man, that would be a great Brown season if we got Cartilage on our side.
Cartilage. Yes.
He's a pretty good player, fellas.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I would be okay. I think there's a lot of really things that I'm excited about with the NFL draft. I would be okay if free agency stops right now for the Browns, if that means we get to keep our picks. Even though there might be some other free agent signings out there. So, Eric, do you expect the Browns to make more of a splash? Would you be satisfied stopping right now?
Well, Chico,
R.I.P. R.I.P. Friend of the podcast, Scott.
Right. In addition to Cartilage Jones, I don't know their realistic ability on obtaining him, but Dante Fowler Jr., former first round pick. Again, that goes to the Andrew Berry MO of taking a former first round pick, maybe a 1-year deal, see what they can get. Pass rusher, that's an option. A couple guys, defensive tackle, Jaron Reed, Eddie Goldman, both younger, solid veterans in their late 20s. Maybe they could be on, again, shorter deals, shorter contracts that could not eat up a lot of salary cap space. For wide receivers, I would just kind of want these inexpensive guys that could fill a void. Byron Pringle, we could all have Pringle cans.
No, you
that'd be
wouldn't.
fun.
You wouldn't. You two would, and it would just drive me insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's his third year or so. Last year he only had 5 touchdowns, but he's increased every year. He was with one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So we'll see what he could do with the Browns. Laviska Shenault, with the influx of all the receivers and all the talent and coming into Jacksonville, there's a chance he could be released. It's a low risk, high reward kind of situation where they can get him cheap and maybe fill that void that's going to be left by Hollywood Higgins and Jarvis Landry. So those are a couple of the guys I'm thinking of.